Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for another one of Emma's weekly training vlogs, and these have been a very popular series. So we started her training week off with a dead pin football bar bench press, and I believe she got 130 pounds, right? 130 pounds. Then as you guys see, her first supplemental lift, we do pin bench, right? We do pin bench about 1 to 2 inches above her chest. A lot of people say, well, what is this for? What's the purpose of the pin bench? This helps people with a sticking point in the middle of their bench press. All right, this is what helps, and it's actually a fantastic chest builder because you have to recruit the chest so hard from the dead stop. You can't use your lats and stuff to help. It's actually a pretty good chest builder on top of it. For people who say, isn't that a partial? Not really. It doesn't take that much range of motion out. It's still a very long range of motion exercise. But again, we only run it for phases, and as you guys will notice, she does other chest work, right? Chin-ups were pretty rough for her this week. She ended up getting a chin-up PR on her second upper day, but she's really struggling with recovery. We're at a point to where her volume is so high, and people saw the sheet at the front, that for the coming block, I'm going to need to take her overall volume down a little bit. She's kind of pushing that bleeding edge of what she can handle. Now, I did get on her a little bit about some of the incline. I think in the first workout there was some touch and go, I believe, and I want these reps paused. So I know she did better either later in the week or in this session. I forget which one it is, but again, something we need to work on. But what are we seeing for supplemental lifts for her? For her benching, dead pin bench, right? Dead pin bench and incline bench. Now people say, so she's not worried about lockout. No, she's worried about immediately off the chest, which the incline will help with, and then miss a little bit off the chest. That's where she's weak, and it's because she chose to do close grip benching for a long time because her husband prefers the close grip bench also. She did that for a long time, so her lockouts are actually pretty strong because a close grip bench is one of the best ways to build the lockout on your flat bench. So we're working on that. Now, we're trying to figure out how to get, and then we went over to some conventional deadlifts, and we had really hoped she was going to get at least 300 here because she broke 300 on sumo, and her sumo used to be ahead of her conventional, but her sumo shot up so quick from all the adductor work we did that she felt that 280 was all she had today. So she ramped up to 280, which was technically a 5-pound PR on a normal conventional. Her most has been 275. And then she stopped there and said, look, that's all I can handle today. So hopefully next time we come in and do a conventional deadlift, she pulls 300 plus. I think she will have it in the tank. And then after that, we did Romanian deadlifts against bands. Now, people will say, why against bands? Well, number one, this works great for a stretch reflex movement. Number two, we wanted to keep the second hip hinge in to really work on her hamstrings. She needs a lot more hamstrings for her deadlift. And this allows us to do that, right? And while still keeping the slot in because she was stalling on the RDL, so we had to replace it with another lift. Now, you guys will notice today her good mornings look different, right? They look different. She's doing a narrow stance. We're doing it less squatty, right? More hip hinge. So that, again, we build more back, more hamstring, right? We're going to put a little less concern on things like the adductors and everything because they've come up a lot. Her sumo is now passing her conventional. And so we need the extra hamstring work, the extra back work for a little bit. So we're rotating these in, right? And then probably next block, we may take these over to a cambered bar, right? She's been doing the safety bar with a really wide stance. Now we're going over to the safety bar with a closed stance, and then we'll rotate in possibly some cambered bar with a closed stance. And then, of course, we have the options to do these off pins. And whatever else it is that we need to do to keep these moving and to give her new exercises. I get that a lot when people will ask about the conjugate of how do we come up with new exercises with the same equipment? How do we rotate stuff in a slot? Well, taking the equipment that you have and using it different, right? If we change the stance on a good morning, it's a different exercise. If we go off of pins from a dead stop instead of a stretch reflex, it's a different exercise. And then, of course, she followed up with reverse hypers. Now, you guys will notice it's a lot of low back, a lot of hamstring work in here. This is what we're focusing on for her lower body work. And for people who would say, is this enough for her quad? Sure it is for now. They may be getting a belt squat machine. which again we could use for some extra quad volume and squat volume. But really for her right now to get that deadlift up, we really need the back. We really need hamstrings. So that's what we're putting our efforts into. Then of course she did speed bench against bands, which went good, went very good. Her speed is getting very, very good at this point, even against heavy bands. And keeping in mind, that's 50 pounds of band tension. Those are Rogue Blues, right? 50 pounds of bands. Chin-ups, she managed to get 9. And we're going to rotate the chin-ups out. She really struggled with them earlier in the week, but she managed to get a PR this time. But we've had chin-ups in for a little while. And I do worry about bicep tendon overuse. It's definitely a concern. And a lot of my older lifters, I don't let them do any supine stuff at all. Right? She's still very young. She's in her 20s. So, again, not as big of a deal. But we also don't want to overuse this. And for a woman, 9 chins is phenomenal. Right? That's phenomenal. I mean, how many of you guys out there who are listening who are either at a higher body weight or whatever, they can't even do that. So her performance level there is quite high. Now, the incline bench, much better. These are now done with a pause. Right? I've got her pausing on these, which is what I want. And, of course, again, I think I'm going to change most of her supplemental work this next block. I think we're going to take every supplemental lift she has and replace it with something else. Sorry, Emma. She's going to be like, what? You're going to take all my lifts away, coach? Yes, I am. Because we need to keep making progress, right? We have to keep moving forward. We have to keep adapting. This is how we avoid overuse. This is how we get continual progress on this system. We have to always be getting stronger at our supplemental work. And advanced lifters like this, and yes, she's an advanced lifter, right? She's an advanced lifter. If you look at her numbers as a woman, look at charts, that's where she is. We can't do the same lifts for 5 or 6 weeks straight and keep progressing on them. We just generally can't, not unless she's going to bulk hard. And of course she's bulking, but it's super slow, something in the range of half a pound a month, right? Which is enough. That's a bulk. Gaining weight, gaining muscle. But we have to keep pushing the accessory stuff. We have to get stronger at it, right? And so for this phase, we've seen pen benching, we've seen incline bench, we've seen chin-ups, we've seen one-arm dumbbell rows, right? Now we change this stuff up. We change it up. And because she's running into a little bit of recovery, we're going to take the volume down. And usually people say what's appropriate. For most people, and I'm kind of pushing even this direction for myself, 4 to 6 supplemental lifts on max effort and dynamic effort days, right? 4 to 6, depending upon what you need, what your recovery, what your work capacity is. But yes, I have clients who do as few as 4 exercises, and they make progress, and these are still advanced lifters. So I could take her all the way down to 4 exercises on all those days, and it will be fine. Make it work. And then, of course, she does tricep extensions because we need some sort of tricep work. Almost everyone out there never has big enough or strong enough triceps, even though her bench is not really a weak link. Right? It really isn't. We still want some tricep work. And then I let her do a little bit of lateral stuff. But, again, if we're running into recovery, we may pull the laterals. Why? Because we're going to have 4 big exercises already, and we can afford a little bit of tricep work. And that might be all that she can handle. Right? Might be all that she can handle for a phase. Because again, that will give us 5. Right? And at the moment, she's got 6 on her upper body days. That's pushing the limits. Really, we shouldn't need more than that. If you want more exercises, you can rotate them in. If you have an exercise, but I really want to put this exercise in, well, you're going to need to replace something else with it. We don't need to just keep adding more and more volume. Right? We need optimal volume, not more volume. Speed squats, pretty good. I would like to see these a little bit faster. Honestly, I'd like to see these a little faster. Look at how fast her speed bench is compared to these. And I'm not saying these are slow, but her speed bench is quicker. Might need to reduce the percentages slightly. Her technique is good. Form is good on those boxes, but we might need to do that. Then, of course, speed pulls also against bands. And as you guys notice, we use heavy band tension. So when people start looking at this, they're like, wait a minute, that's like 50 pounds over there, 50 pounds there. Yeah, we run a lot of band. We use a lot of band tension for speed work. You're not just coming in. If you're a 300-pound bencher, you don't just use 20 or 30 pounds of bands. Okay, we're going to use 70, 80, 100 pounds. You know, same when you look at those deadlifts. That's a lot of band tension relative to her. Well, this one isn't, but the speed pulse was. We're just running 30 pounds of bands here. Although the way she has them hooked up, this is technically 45, but that's okay. We're going to rotate these out. This is the last time she's doing this. Now, she did say that for this movement, she managed to get up to 110 for these good mornings this week, which is good. I think for the more narrow stance like this, that's very, very good, especially with the safety bar. Again, it shows us that we're in a good place with this moving forward. Of course, the cambered bar, I expect her to be stronger on it. We should be able to move more weight. Everyone can with a cambered bar versus a safety bar on good mornings. So we'll see how she does on that next week coming up. And then as you guys see at the end, we finish up with reverse hypers. And everyone knows I'm a big fan of the reverse hyper. Any of my clients who I can get to buy a reverse hyper, I convince them to buy one. And they were a holdout. Her and her husband, it was over a year before I convinced them to buy that reverse hyper. He finally did it, but it took me pushing him. But they have it, we use it, and I wish all of my lifters had one. In fact, I wish every one of you out there had a reverse hyper. Like, training would be so much better and easier if everyone had access to one of these. It really would. It's a game changer. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.